A message from the Netherlands has set off a stir in China's tech industry. Multiple Chinese media outlets reported that the Dutch headquarters of Nexperia had announced on October 17th that it would stop paying employees in China starting in October. At 6 a.m., access to the company's systems was completely cut off, and even their access cards stopped working. Employees joked, saying, "We woke up to find ourselves blacklisted. The Chinese market has been abandoned by European management." Nexperia is a semiconductor manufacturer headquartered in the Netherlands. It is a subsidiary of Wingtech Technology, a Shanghai-listed company partially owned by the Chinese state. According to New Rotterdam News, citing sources on October 12th, there were signs that Nexperia planned to transfer its chip technology to its Chinese parent company, Wingtech. The Dutch government saw this as a serious threat to national and economic security. In response, the Dutch Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Policy issued a highly special order, demanding that Nexperia and its global affiliates refrain from making any adjustments to assets, intellectual property, businesses, or personnel for a year. Reports indicate that in late September, Nexperia faced double intervention from the Dutch government and courts. This was due to a joint emergency application submitted by Ruben Lichtenberg, Nexperia's Dutch chief legal officer, along with the German CFO and COO. The emergency application was submitted to the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Policy. They requested a review of the company control change and potential national security risks. The three accused that since Wingtech's acquisition of Nexperia in 2019, the flow of Nexperia's technology, customer lists, and supply chain layout had become opaque, raising concerns that some high-end power semiconductor technologies were being used in sensitive scenarios. Following the ministerial order, the three immediately sought a temporary injunction from the Amsterdam Court of Appeal. The corporate court responded within 48 hours, issuing the strictest restrictions in history. It removed Zhang Shutdown, founder and chairman of Wingtech, from Nexperia's board of directors and appointed an independent foreign director to replace him. The new director not only had decisive voting rights, but also had the authority to independently represent Nexperia and its parent company. The court also ruled that nearly all of Nexperia's shares will be entrusted to a pending party for management purposes. This is the first time the Netherlands has invoked the Goods Availability Act, a special legal tool used in wartime or emergency to control a semiconductor company. Nexperia is a chip design company headquartered in the Netherlands, with production facilities in Manchester, UK, and Hamburg, Germany. In 2019, Nexperia was acquired by Wingtech, a move that had faced strong opposition from Nexperia's board. From the beginning, Wingtech CEO Zhang Shutdown made it clear that he intended to turn Nexperia into a Chinese company. Zhang also held executive and non-executive director roles at Nexperia. Zhang had previously served as a representative of the Jiaxing City People's Congress. Wingtech holds 30% of its shares with investments from Chinese national and regional governments and affiliated investment funds. It is now a state-owned enterprise under the State-Owned Asset Supervision and Administration Commission of the State Council. Currently, most of Nexperia's products are shipped to Dongguan, Guangdong, where about 70% of the final products are assembled and tested before being sold to the Chinese market. The remaining products are produced in Nexperia's factories in the Philippines and Malaysia. Franz Schepper, former CEO of Nexperia, revealed in an interview with RTL Netherlands that Wingtech has built a new factory in China and is preparing to take over production at Nexperia's European factories. He expressed concern that this takeover could happen very soon. Schepper's tenure as CEO lasted until 2020, when he was replaced by Zhang Shutdown. He said the Dutch government's actions were due to concerns that Nexperia might move its chip production from Europe to China, which would result in the loss of one of Europe's largest chip makers. Schepper explained that after the acquisition, Zhang's first step was to take on the role of Nexperia's CEO and then replace the CFO and other key management. At that time, the Dutch Ministry of Economic Affairs and the Ministry of the Interior were also aware of this and knew that Zhang had a bad reputation. In July 2023, Zhang was investigated by the China Securities Regulatory Commission for illegal information disclosure. In August 2024, he was fined and given a warning for failing to disclose his coordinated actions with others. Schepper believes that if Nexperia were transferred to a Chinese company, it would affect employment in the Netherlands and also impact the European industrial supply chain. Nexperia holds a huge market share in Europe, especially in the automotive industry. The company produces more than 100 billion chips annually. Schepper noted that distributors might still have some stock, but no company would have a 100 billion chip inventory. Dutch Minister of Economic Affairs Vincent Karamanz confirmed to the Dutch parliament that the actions taken against Nexperia were related to CEO Zhang Xuezheng's improper transfer of production capacity, financial resources, and intellectual property to a foreign entity unrelated to Nexperia. Karamanz said, "These signals pose a threat to the continuity and safeguarding on Dutch and European soil of critical technological knowledge and capabilities. Losing these capabilities could pose a risk to Dutch and European economic security." Court documents revealed that the U.S. pressured the Netherlands to replace Nexperia's Chinese leadership as a condition for Nexperia staying off the U.S. Department of Commerce entity list. In December 2024, WingTech was added to the U.S. entity list, companies that are banned from doing business with American companies. On October 1, 2025, the U.S. revised its rules to include overseas subsidiaries with 50% or more ownership in entities with ownership of 50% or higher. Court documents showed that Zhang Xuezheng did not cooperate with the Dutch government in efforts to separate Nexperia from its Chinese parent company. In June of this year, U.S. officials warned the Dutch government that if Zhang remained in office, Nexperia may not be able to export products to the U.S. On September 30th, the U.S. expanded its entity list to include WingTech subsidiaries, meaning Nexperia would face U.S. trade sanctions by the end of November. Nexperia said the company is facing export restrictions from both the U.S. and China and is seeking negotiations. The company also stated that a new interim CEO has already taken office after Zhang was removed. On October 14th, the Dutch government stated that its decision to intervene in Nexperia was not influenced by American participation or pressure. In fact, as early as May 2023, the Dutch government began restricting exports of critical chip manufacturing equipment to China. They also launched an investigation into Nexperia's acquisition of the Dutch chipmaker Noe. With new relevant laws set to come into effect, this marked the first time the Dutch government blocked foreign capital from acquiring domestic companies on grounds of national security. Chinese parent company WingTech confirmed the Dutch ban in a public announcement on October 12, but the announcement was later deleted by the company, though it was widely shared by Chinese media. The announcement stated that Nexperia, the Dutch subsidiary, had received an order from the Dutch government and a court ruling requiring Nexperia and all of its global entities, including subsidiaries, branches, and offices, to refrain from making any adjustments to their assets, intellectual property, businesses, or personnel for 1 year. WingTech temporarily lost control of Nexperia. That same evening, WingTech issued a statement claiming that the Dutch government had frozen Nexperia's global operations under the unfounded national security pretext. The company stated that it would never yield to external political pressure and had initiated all legal and diplomatic channels to demand that the Dutch government immediately rescind this wrongful order. As a result of the news, WingTech stock opened with a sharp drop on October 13th, reaching a 10% limit down, and continued to maintain that decline throughout the trading day. On the same day, a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson, Lin Qian, opposed the broadening of the national security concept, urging the relevant country to not politicize economic and trade issues. Nexperia, originally a division of Dutch chip giant NXP Semiconductors, focused on producing standard chip products. In 2017, Nexperia became independent, and in 2019, it was fully acquired by WingTech, making it a wholly owned subsidiary of a Chinese company. According to financial reports, Nexperia's revenue in 2024 is estimated to be around $2 billion, accounting for about 1/6 of WingTech's total revenue in 2024. Nexperia is currently one of the largest basic chip manufacturers in the world, producing products such as transistors that are not highly advanced but are in high demand. The company's largest production base is located in Hamburg, Germany, but most of its chips are packaged and assembled in China before being integrated into larger products. Although Nexperia does not produce complex or advanced chips, its mass-produced standard chips are fundamental components for all electronic products and are crucial to Europe's automotive industry supply chain. For Nexperia, if the Dutch government had not intervened, the company might have been banned from doing business with U.S. customers and suppliers, and its production facilities may have been forced to move to China. However, after the intervention, the company could face retaliation from China. On October 4th, the Chinese government issued an export control notice, prohibiting Nexperia China and its subcontractors from exporting specific finished products and components produced in China. This meant that Nexperia severed ties with its Dongguan factory in Guangdong province. The Chinese government claimed that the intervention in Nexperia was under U.S. pressure, but Karamanz denied this claim. Kermans also pointed out that Zhang Xuezheng had been conveying messages within China. When asked whether the Dutch intervention would provoke retaliation from Beijing, Kermans responded that they had anticipated all possible scenarios. Chinese issues expert Wang He stated that the Netherlands is a rule of law country, and the government's intervention was due to Wingtech's plan to transfer key technologies from its subsidiary, which violated the original acquisition agreement and Dutch national laws. This led the Dutch government to step in, with a court ruling backing the action. It involved both government and legal actions, which is completely different from the political suppression of foreign companies by the CCP in China. Wang believes this incident mainly stems from the CCP posing a systemic threat to the entire West, and the Netherlands, as a key player in the semiconductor industry, is a target. The Netherlands' National Security Review of Foreign Investments aligns with both the EU and the US. Taiwanese financial expert Huang Sichong stated, "I believe the Netherlands must also consider the U.S. position. Semiconductors are becoming increasingly important and are now a strategic asset that every country must protect. This is a major strategy, and with the U.S.-China confrontation, the Netherlands made this choice." He explained that in the past, Germany had suffered many losses due to the CCP in sectors like robotics and the automotive industry. In recent years, Europe has realized the need to strengthen protection of sensitive technologies. Regarding potential retaliation from Beijing, Huang Sichong stated that while the CCP has taken a tough stance towards the EU, it likely does not want to go to war with Europe and the US simultaneously. As is widely known, the Netherlands is home to ASML, the world's only producer of high-end photolithography machines used for manufacturing advanced semiconductors. However, due to pressure from the US, ASML has never directly sold its most advanced EUV lithography machines to China. Despite China's massive investments in semiconductor technology and manufacturing, Chinese companies still face significant obstacles, especially in photolithography, a highly complex area. ASML, along with Japan's Nikon, continues to dominate the global photolithography market. Data shows that from 2019 to 2014, China's market share in photolithography tools has been negligible. The Netherlands remains the primary supplier of photolithography tools at 79%, followed by Japan at 17%. This highlights that photolithography technology remains a key bottleneck in the CCP's semiconductor ambitions. Photolithography is the core driving technology for chip manufacturing, and high-end chips produced by these lithography machines are used in various applications, from electric vehicles to military equipment. The US government has been working with allies such as Japan and the Netherlands to ensure that these machines do not fall into the hands of the CCP. US officials have stated that they aim to limit the CCP's progress in advanced semiconductor manufacturing, as such technologies are crucial for the CCP's military modernization. The CCP has never abandoned its ambitions over Taiwan. In December last year, ASML CEO Christophe Fouquet told the Dutch business daily NRC Handelsblad that because Chinese companies cannot access advanced EUV lithography tools, China's chip manufacturing technology is still 10 to 15 years behind industry giants like Intel, TSMC, and Samsung. David Sachs, the White House's chief of AI and cryptocurrency affairs, stated in May of this year that restricting the sale of EUV equipment to China is the most important export control in the U.S. semiconductor sector. Analysts point out that the Dutch government has closely cooperated with the U.S. in the most advanced manufacturing area of the semiconductor industry, ensuring that the CCP has not been given many opportunities. The recent intervention in China's local industries further underscores the Dutch government's alignment with the U.S. This move aims to prevent China from gaining critical technology or to control the global semiconductor supply. When Wingtech was added to the U.S. entity list at the end of last year, Nexperia publicly stated that it would comply with U.S. regulations and that it wouldn't impact the company's operations. However, in September of this year, the U.S. revised its entity list rules, and it now includes subsidiaries of listed companies with more than 50% foreign ownership. For Chinese parent companies on the U.S. entity list, the Dutch government's actions clearly send a message. Unless companies sever ties with China, their operations will be impacted. The Nexperia incident reflects the global supply chain's gradual polarization along the lines of US versus China, with relevant companies being required to guard against key technology transfers due to CCP-led ownership shifts. What's even more intriguing is the timing of the Dutch government's intervention. In retaliation for the US government's port fee against China, on October 9th, the CCP's Ministry of Commerce issued a rare earth export ban to pressure the US, which was immediately met with a strong rebuttal from President Trump. 3 days later, the Dutch government announced it was directly taking over Nexperia China. During this time, the CCP seemed to back down, claiming the rare earth export ban might have been misunderstood. On October 14th, the U.S. proceeded with its planned crackdown on China's shipping and shipbuilding industries. In response, the CCP symbolically imposed asymmetric port fees on the U.S. In less than 48 hours, Nexperia China's access control system was cut off, company permissions were severed, and employees in China faced unpaid leave and potential layoffs. This series of actions clearly demonstrates that in an increasingly polarized landscape, the Netherlands did not hesitate to align with the U.S.